The mysterious noise. It was a sunny afternoon in the small town of Maplewood. The streets were alive with the sounds of children playing and birds singing. Jamal, an adventurous 11-year-old boy, loved to spend his afternoons outside. Today, he played in his front yard, throwing a football back and forth with his friends. Laughter filled the air as they enjoyed the warm sunshine. As Jamal ran to catch the football, he suddenly heard a strange noise coming from the nearby woods. It was a soft, whimpering sound, like someone was crying. Jamal paused, feeling a chill run down his spine. The woods had always been a place of mystery for him. He had heard stories about it, some good, some bad. But today, something felt different. What was that? Jamal whispered to himself. His friends were still busy playing, but he felt a pull towards the woods. He decided to investigate, even though a small voice in his head told him to stay put. The sound grew louder, and his curiosity took over. He had to know who or what was making that noise. He told his friends, "Hey, I'll be right back." They waved him off, too engrossed in their game to notice his serious tone. Jamal walked slowly towards the edge of the woods, each step filled with both excitement and fear. The trees loomed tall, their leaves rustling gently in the breeze, almost as if they were whispering secrets. As he stepped into the shade of the trees, the light from the sun faded, and the air felt cooler. Jamal moved cautiously, listening carefully for the source of the sound. The whimpering was still there, but it was faint. He pushed through some bushes, peering deeper into the woods. "Hello," he called out softly, hoping to hear a response. There was silence for a moment, and then he heard it again. This time, it sounded more desperate. Jamal's heart raced. He knew he shouldn't be out here alone, but he couldn't turn back now. Following the sound, Jamal pushed aside branches and made his way deeper into the woods. The trees were thick, and the underbrush made it difficult to move quickly. Every time he stepped on a twig, he held his breath, afraid it might alert whoever was making the noise. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, he stumbled into a small clearing. It was then that he saw her. A little girl, no more than 6 years old, sat on the ground with her knees drawn up to her chest. Tears streamed down her cheeks as she looked around frantically. Jamal's heart sank. She looked so scared and alone. The girl's name was Lily, and she was lost. "Help me," she cried, her voice trembling. Jamal took a step closer, feeling a wave of protectiveness wash over him. "It's okay, I'm here," he said gently. "What happened? Why are you here alone?" Lily looked up at him, her big brown eyes filled with fear. "I was playing near the edge of the woods, and a man grabbed me. I ran away, but I got lost," she explained, her voice shaking. Jamal felt a knot form in his stomach. A man. This was not good. "Did he follow you?" he asked, glancing around the clearing. The trees seemed to close in, making the space feel small and suffocating. Lily nodded slowly, wiping her tears with the back of her hand. "I think so. I heard him shouting for me. He said I couldn't run away." Jamal's heart raced. He knew they had to get out of there. "We need to leave," he said firmly. "We can't stay here." He extended his hand to Lily, who hesitated for a moment before taking it. "Where do we go?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Jamal looked back towards the path he had come from. He remembered the way back home and the safety of the neighborhood. "We can go back to the playground. There are lots of people there," he said, trying to sound brave. Just as they were about to leave, they heard a rustling noise from behind the trees. Jamal's heart dropped. He turned to Lily, who was looking up at him with wide, scared eyes. "We have to hurry," he urged, and they started to move quickly through the underbrush. They dashed through the woods, branches scratching at their arms as they ran. Jamal kept glancing over his shoulder, half expecting to see the man chasing after them. His mind raced with thoughts of what would happen if they got caught. He couldn't let that happen, not to him or to Lily. As they emerged from the woods, the bright sunlight almost blinded them. They stumbled onto a familiar path that led to the playground. Jamal's heart raced with hope. Just a little further. He urged Lily, who was struggling to keep up. But then, just as they were about to reach safety, they heard a voice calling from behind them. It was the man. Jamal's stomach dropped, and he felt fear claw at him. They had to make it to the playground. With every ounce of energy, he pulled Lily along, determined to reach safety before it was too late. In that moment, Jamal knew he had to be brave. For Lily and for himself. They ran with all their might, hearts pounding, racing against time and danger. Would they make it to the playground? Would they be safe? Only time would tell, but Jamal was ready to do whatever it took to protect Lily. The race to safety. Jamal and Lily sprinted through the thick brush, their hearts pounding loudly in their chests. The sounds of their feet crashing against the ground echoed in the quiet woods, but the distant voice of the man calling out to them sent a wave of panic through Jamal. "We can't stop now," he urged, glancing back for just a moment. The man was getting closer, his voice filled with anger. "Please, don't let him catch us," Lily cried, her little legs moving as fast as they could. Jamal felt a rush of determination. He couldn't let anything happen to her. She was counting on him, and he had to be brave. They burst out of the woods and onto the familiar path leading to the playground. The sun shone brightly, casting warm rays on their skin. Jamal could see the playground up ahead. The laughter of children and the clanking of swings filled the air, making him feel a bit hopeful. "Just a little more," he shouted, pushing himself and Lily forward. But as they ran, Jamal felt a chill run down his spine. The man was right behind them, and he could hear the branches cracking as he followed. Lily was falling behind, her breath coming in short gasps. I can't run anymore," she panted, looking up at Jamal with wide, scared eyes. He could see the fear etched on her face, and it broke his heart. "Yes, you can," Jamal replied, forcing himself to stay calm. "Just hold my hand and keep going. We're almost there." He reached down, grabbing her small hand tightly in his own. He couldn't let her give up now. They ran together, side by side, the playground coming closer with every step. Jamal could feel the energy fading from his legs, but he pushed through. They had to reach safety. "We're almost there," he encouraged, glancing back one more time. The man was still coming, but he seemed to be slowing down. Just as they reached the edge of the playground, Jamal shouted, "Help! Someone, please help us." His voice rang out, desperate and full of urgency. The children playing on the swings and slides turned to look, their laughter dying down as they sensed something was wrong. "Jamal," one of his friends, Ricky, called out, "What's going on?" But Jamal didn't have time to explain. He pulled Lily towards the group of kids and shouted again, "That man! He's chasing us!" The children's eyes widened, and they all stepped back, looking around. Jamal could see a few parents nearby, sitting on benches and chatting. He ran towards them, pulling Lily along. "Help us, please," he pleaded, his voice shaky. The nearest parent, a woman with curly hair and kind eyes, stood up. She looked worried as she noticed the fear in Jamal's eyes and Lily's trembling form. "What's happening?" she asked, kneeling down to meet them at their level. "That man," Lily cried, pointing back toward the woods. "He was trying to take me." The woman's expression shifted from concern to alarm. "Stay right here," she instructed, her voice firm. She quickly moved to the edge of the playground, calling for help. "We need to call the police." Jamal felt a surge of relief wash over him. They were safe now. The other parents started to gather, listening to Lily's story, their faces filled with concern. A few kids moved closer, intrigued by the drama unfolding. Jamal stayed close to Lily, wrapping his arm around her shoulders to comfort her. "Don't worry, you're safe now," he whispered to her. "No one is going to hurt you." She nodded, her breathing slowly returning to normal as the presence of adults brought her some comfort. In the distance, Jamal saw a police car pull up. The lights flashed bright red and blue, illuminating the playground. The sound of sirens filled the air, and Jamal felt a mixture of relief and fear. What if the man came back? Would he find them again? Two officers stepped out of the car, their faces serious. One of them, a tall man with a friendly smile, approached Jamal and Lily. "Hey there, kids," he said gently. "Can you tell me what happened?" Jamal took a deep breath, trying to calm his nerves. "We were in the woods, and a man tried to take Lily," he explained quickly. "We ran as fast as we could to get here." The officer nodded, his expression turning serious. "You did the right thing by coming to the playground. We're going to make sure you're safe." He turned to his partner and said, "Can you check the woods and see if anyone is there?" Jamal watched as the other officer disappeared into the trees, the sound of branches snapping underfoot echoing in the quiet. He felt a sense of dread wash over him. Would they find the man? What if he was still lurking nearby? Lily clung tightly to Jamal, her small frame shaking slightly. He could see the fear in her eyes and wished he could do more to protect her. The kind officer knelt down beside them. "You're both very brave," he said softly. "We're going to take good care of you." A few moments later, the other officer returned, shaking his head. "There's no sign of anyone back there," he said, looking relieved. "You're safe now." Jamal sighed, feeling the weight of the world lift off his shoulders. They had made it. He turned to Lily, who was watching the officers with wide eyes. "You did it, Lily," he said, smiling. "You're safe." As the police officers took their statements, Jamal felt a sense of pride swell within him. He had acted quickly, and together they had escaped a dangerous situation. The fear that had gripped him moments ago faded, replaced by a sense of accomplishment. But as he looked at Lily, he knew their adventure wasn't over yet. There were still questions to answer and a mystery to solve. What had happened in the woods? Why was that man after her? He resolved to find out the truth, not just for himself, but to make sure that Lily would never have to face that danger again. They would figure this out together, the search for answers. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the playground, Jamal and Lily sat on a bench, still shaken but feeling safer now that the police were around. The kind officer had promised to keep them protected and said they could ask questions about what had happened. Jamal felt a sense of responsibility to make sure Lily was okay, and he wanted to find out more about the man in the woods. "Do you think he'll come back?" Lily asked, her voice barely above a whisper. She looked small and vulnerable, her eyes scanning the playground as if the man might suddenly appear. Jamal shook his head, trying to sound brave. "No, he won't. The police are here, and they'll keep watch. But we should tell them everything we remember so they can catch him." Just then, the friendly officer from earlier, Officer Martinez, approached them. "Hey kids, I know this has been scary for you. Can we talk more about what happened?" he asked gently, kneeling down so he was at eye level with them. Jamal nodded, feeling a mix of fear and determination. "I saw him dragging Lily into the woods. I thought something bad was going to happen." Lily shivered at the memory. He had a scary look on his face. She said, her voice trembling, "I was so scared." Officer Martinez listened intently, jotting down notes. "Can you tell me what the man looked like?" he asked. Jamal thought hard. He was tall, wearing a dark hoodie, and had a beard. I couldn't see his face clearly because he was in the shadows. He glanced at Lily, who nodded in agreement. "Good job, you're helping us a lot," Officer Martinez said, smiling reassuringly. "Did he say anything to you?" Lily frowned, trying to remember. He just kept saying to come with him. He sounded really angry. "Okay, that's important. Thank you," Officer Martinez replied. He looked at both of them seriously. "You did the right thing by running away. You both showed a lot of bravery today." Jamal felt a bit proud of the compliment, but he also felt a pang of guilt. But what if we didn't get away? What if he took Lily? Officer Martinez shook his head. "You can't think like that. You did what you had to do, and you stayed together. That's what matters most. As the officer continued to ask questions, Jamal couldn't help but wonder why this had happened. Who was the man, and why had he targeted Lily? He felt a mix of anger and confusion bubbling inside him. After the officers finished their questions, they assured Jamal and Lily that they would do everything they could to find the man. We'll send more officers to patrol the area and keep an eye on the woods. You can go home now, but remember to always stay with friends and never talk to strangers, Officer Martinez advised, standing up and looking at them seriously. Jamal nodded, grateful for the advice. Thank you, officer, he said, feeling a sense of relief wash over him. As they left the playground, Jamal held Lily's hand tightly. The sun was setting, and the sky turned orange and purple, but the beauty of it felt lost in the weight of what had happened. Let's go to my house, he suggested. We can tell my mom what happened. She'll want to know you're okay. Lily nodded, looking a bit more at ease now that they were away from the playground. I don't want to be alone, she admitted. You won't be, Jamal assured her. We'll stick together. As they walked, the events of the day replayed in Jamal's mind. He couldn't shake the feeling that they were missing something important. The man's face, the way he had dragged Lily, it all felt so strange. Why had he chosen her? When they reached Jamal's house, his mom was waiting at the door, her face etched with worry. Jamal, Lily, thank goodness you're safe, she exclaimed, pulling them both into a warm embrace. Jamal felt comforted by her hug, but knew he had to tell her what happened. Mom, there was a man in the woods. He tried to take Lily. He blurted out, his voice filled with urgency. Lily, still shaken, chimed in. He was really scary, and we ran away. Jamal's mom's eyes widened in alarm. Oh no, are you both okay? She asked, her voice filled with concern. We're okay now, Jamal reassured her. The police came, and they're looking for the man. But it was really scary. Thank you for telling me. You both did so well, she said, kneeling down to look at them. I'm so proud of you. But you should stay here for now, and I'll make us something to eat. You need to feel safe. Jamal smiled at his mom, grateful for her support. As she went to the kitchen, he turned to Lily. Do you want to play a game while we wait? She nodded, a small smile creeping onto her face. Yeah, that sounds fun. As they settled down in the living room, Jamal felt a sense of normalcy return. He pushed the fear away, focusing instead on spending time with his friend. They laughed and played games, but in the back of his mind, he couldn't forget about the man in the woods. He knew they would need to keep talking about what had happened, but for now, he was thankful they were safe. As the evening wore on, Jamal promised himself that he would find out the truth behind the man and protect Lily at all costs. Together, they would uncover the mystery that had shaken their world. The investigation begins. The next day, the sun rose bright and warm, but Jamal and Lily still felt the shadows of yesterday's events lurking in their minds. Jamal woke up early, unable to shake the feeling that he needed to do something. He couldn't just sit around and wait for the police to handle it. He wanted to be brave like the heroes he admired in movies. As he got dressed, he thought about Lily. She would need him now more than ever. After a quick breakfast, he rushed to her house. He knocked on the door, and Lily's mother opened it, her expression one of relief when she saw Jamal. Good morning, Jamal. I'm glad to see you. Is Lily with you? Jamal nodded. I wanted to see if she could come out and play. I think we should stick together. Of course, let me get her, Lily's mother replied, smiling. A moment later, Lily appeared, looking a little more cheerful than the day before. Hey, Jamal, want to play outside? Yeah, but I was thinking, maybe we should go back to the playground. We can look for clues about the man, Jamal suggested, his heart racing with the excitement of being a detective. Lily frowned slightly, but then nodded. Okay, but let's be careful. I don't want to see that man again. As they made their way to the playground, Jamal felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. He wanted to find answers, but he also wanted to protect Lily. When they arrived, the playground was quiet, the swings swaying gently in the breeze. "Where do you think we should look?" Lily asked, glancing around. Jamal pointed towards the trees at the edge of the playground. "Maybe we can see if there are any signs of him. If he was here, he might have left something behind." With a deep breath, they approached the trees. Jamal remembered how the man had dragged Lily, and he felt anger bubbling inside him. "We have to find something," he said, determination in his voice. They searched carefully, scanning the ground for anything unusual. Jamal's eyes landed on a piece of fabric caught on a branch. "Look, Lily. What's that?" Lily stepped closer, her eyes widening. "It looks like part of a hoodie." Jamal reached up to grab it, pulling it free from the branch. It was dark blue, just like the one the man had been wearing. "This has to be from him," he exclaimed, holding it up triumphantly. "What do we do with it?" Lily asked, looking nervous. "We should show it to Officer Martinez. He can take it as evidence," Jamal replied, feeling proud of their discovery. As they headed back towards the playground's entrance, Jamal's heart raced. They were doing something important, and he felt like a real hero. When they reached the entrance, they spotted Officer Martinez talking to another officer. Jamal hurried over, holding out the fabric. "Officer, we found this," he called out, his voice filled with excitement. Officer Martinez turned, raising an eyebrow in surprise. "What do you have there, kids?" Jamal explained. "It's a piece of fabric from a hoodie. We think it belongs to the man who tried to take Lily." Officer Martinez took the fabric carefully, examining it closely. "This is great work, you two. We'll send this to the lab to see if they can find anything useful from it." Lily looked relieved. "Do you think they'll catch him?" "With your help, I'm sure we'll find him," Officer Martinez reassured them. "You did the right thing by bringing this to me." Jamal felt a wave of pride wash over him. He and Lily were making the difference. "What else can we do to help?" he asked, eager to keep contributing. "Well," Officer Martinez said, "the best thing you can do is keep telling me if you see anything suspicious or if you hear anything from your friends. And remember, stay safe and stick together." "Okay," they both replied in unison, determination shining in their eyes. As they turned to leave, Jamal felt a rush of energy. They were on the right track, and he was ready for whatever came next. The days that followed were filled with a mix of worry and determination. Jamal and Lily stayed close, spending every moment they could together. They talked to their friends, sharing what had happened, hoping to gather more information. At school, they warned their classmates to be careful and stick together. Jamal felt proud when he saw how everyone rallied around Lily, offering support and friendship. One day at lunch, a girl named Mia approached them. "I heard what happened with you guys. That's so scary. My older brother said he saw a man hanging around the playground last week," she said, her eyes wide with concern. "Do you know what he looked like?" Lily asked, her curiosity piqued. Mia nodded. "He said the guy wore a dark hoodie and was acting weird. He thought it was strange, but didn't think much of it at the time." Jamal felt a chill run down his spine. "That sounds just like the man," he said, sharing a glance with Lily. They knew they had to tell Officer Martinez. As soon as school ended, they rushed to the police station, excitement bubbling in their chests. They were determined to get to the bottom of this mystery and keep Lily safe. They found Officer Martinez at his desk, going over some papers. He looked up and smiled when he saw them. "Hey, you two. What brings you back?" "We have more information," Jamal exclaimed, breathless from running. "Mia's brother saw a man near the playground, and he was acting weird." "That's great to know. Every detail helps us piece together the puzzle," Officer Martinez replied, nodding thoughtfully. "Can you tell me more about what he saw?" Jamal shared everything Mia had said, and Officer Martinez took notes, listening carefully. After they finished, The officer smiled. "You both are doing an amazing job. I appreciate your help." As Jamal and Lily left the station, they felt a sense of accomplishment. They were making a difference, and they would keep fighting to keep their community safe. The adventure was far from over, and they were determined to see it through to the end. Together, they would uncover the truth and protect each other, no matter what challenges lay ahead. The search for answers. The sun rose over the town, casting a warm glow on the streets below. Jamal and Lily met at the playground again, determined to uncover more clues about the man who had threatened their safety. They were both nervous but knew that sticking together was the best way to face any danger. "Do you think we'll find anything today?" Lily asked, her voice filled with hope. "I'm sure we will," Jamal replied confidently. "We've already found the hoodie piece. Let's keep looking." As they arrived at the playground, they felt a mix of excitement and fear. The swings creaked in the wind, and the bright colors of the slides seemed less cheerful than usual. They headed straight to the trees where they had found the fabric last time. Jamal looked around, scanning the ground for anything that seemed out of place. "Look," Lily pointed to a small dark spot near the bushes. "What's that?" Jamal hurried over, his heart racing. He pushed the branches aside and found a small backpack half buried in the dirt. "I don't know. Let's check it out." They carefully pulled the backpack out and examined it. It was old and worn, covered in dirt, and looked like it had been there for a while. Jamal unzipped it slowly, unsure of what they might find inside. "What if it's something dangerous?" Lily whispered, her eyes wide. Jamal nodded, but his curiosity got the better of him. "We have to see." He opened the zipper all the way and peered inside. To his relief, there were no weapons or anything scary. Instead, he found a few old toys, some broken crayons, and a half-eaten snack. "This must belong to a kid," Jamal said, rummaging through the bag. "But what is it doing here?" Suddenly, they heard footsteps approaching. Jamal quickly closed the backpack and looked around. "We should hide," he whispered urgently. They ducked behind a nearby tree just as a man appeared, walking toward them. Jamal's heart sank as he recognized him. He was the same man from the playground, wearing a dark hoodie and looking around suspiciously. "What is he doing here?" Lily whispered, trembling slightly. "I don't know," Jamal replied, peering around the tree trunk. They watched as the man stopped near the swing set, looking up and down the street, his eyes darting nervously. Jamal felt a surge of fear. "We need to get out of here," he said quietly. "We can tell Officer Martinez what we saw." Just then, the man pulled out his phone and started talking. They couldn't hear what he was saying, but Jamal felt uneasy. "He looks like he's up to no good," he whispered, gripping Lily's arm tightly. Lily nodded, her eyes wide with fear. "What should we do?" "We should go back to the police station right now," Jamal insisted. "This is too dangerous." As they carefully made their way out of the playground, Jamal couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. They stayed close to the trees, moving quietly until they reached the safety of the main road. Once they were far enough away, they started running towards the police station. Jamal's heart raced as they dashed down the street, fueled by adrenaline and fear. He glanced back, half expecting the man to follow them, but he was nowhere in sight. Finally, they arrived at the police station, breathless and scared. Officer Martinez was at his desk, sorting through paperwork. He looked up in surprise as they burst through the door. "Hey, what's wrong?" he asked, noticing the fear in their eyes. "Officer, we saw him again," Jamal exclaimed, trying to catch his breath. "The man in the hoodie was at the playground." "What? Are you sure it was him?" Officer Martinez asked, his tone serious. "Yes, he was acting really strange and talking on the phone," Lily added, her voice shaking. Officer Martinez's expression shifted to concern. "That's very important information. Can you tell me exactly what he looked like and what he was doing?" Jamal and Lily shared everything they had seen, describing the man and his suspicious behavior in detail. Officer Martinez took notes, listening intently. After they finished, he nodded thoughtfully. "Good work, you two. I'm going to send some officers back to the playground to check things out. It's important to keep you both safe." Jamal felt a mix of relief and anxiety. "Will you catch him?" he asked, his voice hopeful. "With your help, I believe we can," Officer Martinez replied reassuringly. "But I need you both to promise me something. If you see him again, you need to stay safe and call me right away. Don't confront him." "Okay, we promise," Lily said, glancing at Jamal, who nodded in agreement. As they left the police station, Jamal felt a sense of determination. They were doing everything they could to keep their community safe. But deep down, he knew they still had a long way to go. That evening, as they sat on Jamal's front porch, they talked about everything that had happened. "Do you think he's really dangerous?" Lily asked quietly, looking worried. "I don't know," Jamal replied honestly. "But we have to be careful. We can't let our guard down." They made a plan to stay close together at school and keep an eye out for anything strange. Jamal felt proud to be looking out for Lily, and he knew they would figure this out together. As night fell and the stars twinkled above, Jamal felt a sense of hope. They were brave and they were strong. They would face whatever challenges came their way, side by side. And with that thought in mind, they vowed to keep each other safe as they continued their search for answers. A mysterious encounter. The next day dawned bright and clear, but Jamal and Lily woke up with a heavy feeling in their hearts. The events of the previous day still lingered in their minds. They had not expected to face such danger, but their determination to protect each other only grew stronger. At school, they decided to stick together during lunch, sitting at the same table with their friends. As they ate, they whispered about their plan to keep an eye on the playground after school. Lily glanced around, her eyes darting nervously. "Do you think he'll be back?" she asked, biting her lip. "I hope not," Jamal replied, but he felt a twinge of anxiety in his stomach. He kept thinking about the man in the hoodie and what he might do next. After school, they made their way to the playground, their hearts pounding. The familiar sounds of laughter and play filled the air, but the shadow of fear hung over them. They both knew they had to be cautious. "Let's check the area near the trees again," Jamal suggested. They walked to the spot where they had found the backpack. As they approached, they noticed something unusual. A group of kids were gathered around a strange object lying on the ground. "What's going on?" Lily asked, intrigued. "I don't know," Jamal replied, his curiosity piqued. They hurried over to join the other kids. As they got closer, they realized the object was an old, weathered toy, a toy truck that looked like it had been there for a long time. "Where did this come from?" one of the kids asked, picking it up. "I don't know, but it's kind of cool," another kid exclaimed. Jamal felt a sense of unease wash over him. "Wait a minute," he said, remembering the backpack. "Is it just me, or does that truck look a lot like the one that was in the backpack?" "Maybe it belongs to the same kid," Lily said, her eyes narrowing. "But why is it here?" Just then, the sound of laughter caught their attention. A group of children was playing nearby, and among them was a little girl who looked familiar. Jamal squinted, trying to place her face. "Isn't that the girl from yesterday?" he whispered to Lily. "Yeah, I think it is," Lily replied, excitement in her voice. "Let's go talk to her." They approached the girl cautiously. "Hey," Jamal called out. "Are you okay? We saw you at the playground yesterday." The little girl turned around, her eyes wide with surprise. "You saw me?" she asked. "I was scared." "We want to help," Lily said gently. "Can you tell us what happened?" The girl glanced around nervously, as if she was worried someone might overhear. "I don't want to talk here," she whispered. "Can we go somewhere else?" Jamal and Lily exchanged glances. They understood her fear. "Sure. Let's go to the swings," Jamal suggested, leading the way. Once they reached the swings, The little girl looked around to make sure no one was listening. "I'm Sophie," she said softly. "And yes, I was dragged into the woods, but I got away." "What happened?" Lily asked, leaning in closer. Sophie took a deep breath, her eyes darting nervously. "There was this man," she whispered. "He had a hoodie like yours, and he grabbed my arm. I screamed, but no one heard me. Then I kicked him and ran." Jamal felt a chill run down his spine. "Did you see where he went?" Sophie shook her head, tears welling in her eyes. "No, I just ran and hid in the bushes until he left. I was so scared." Lily put a comforting hand on her shoulder. "You're safe now. We're going to make sure you stay safe." "Do you think he'll come back?" Sophie asked, her voice trembling. "I hope not," Jamal replied, his heart racing. "But we need to tell Officer Martinez what you saw. It's important." Sophie nodded, her expression turning serious. "Okay, but I don't want to go back to the playground." "Let's head to the police station together," Lily suggested. "It'll be safer." The three of them walked carefully to the police station, staying close together. Jamal couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched, but he kept his fears to himself. He wanted to be brave for Sophie and Lily. When they arrived at the station, Officer Martinez was sitting at his desk again. He looked up as they entered, his face lighting up with recognition. "Hey there, what brings you back?" Jamal stepped forward, feeling the weight of the moment. "Officer, we have important information. This is Sophie, and she saw the man who grabbed her." Sophie stepped forward, her voice shaky but determined. "I kicked him and got away, but I'm scared he'll come back." Officer Martinez's expression turned serious. "Thank you for telling me, Sophie. That's very brave of you. We need to keep you safe." He quickly took down their statements, asking Sophie to describe the man and what had happened in detail. Jamal and Lily listened carefully, providing support as Sophie spoke. After Sophie finished, Officer Martinez stood up and walked to the window. "I'll make sure to have more officers patrol the area. We're going to find this man." As they left the police station, Jamal felt a renewed sense of hope. They had taken action, and they weren't alone. With Sophie by their side, they had a better chance of keeping each other safe. The three of them walked home together, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. They knew they had to be vigilant and brave, but they also knew they had each other, and that made all the difference. Facing the shadows. The days that followed were filled with a mixture of relief and anxiety. The police had increased their patrols in the area, but Jamal, Lily, and Sophie remained on high alert. The memory of the man in the hoodie lingered in their minds, casting a shadow over their everyday lives. At school, the three of them stuck together more than ever. They were always looking out for one another, ensuring they stayed in well-lit areas and avoiding places that felt too quiet. Despite the fear, they also found comfort in their friendship, sharing jokes and stories to lighten the mood. One afternoon, as they sat under a large oak tree during recess, Lily turned to her friends. "You know, we can't let this scare us forever," she said, trying to sound optimistic. "We need to be brave and show that we won't be afraid of that man." Sophie nodded. "Yeah, maybe we can even do something to help other kids feel safe too," she suggested, her eyes lighting up with enthusiasm. Jamal thought for a moment, then said, "What if we create a safety group? We could talk to our teachers and organize some fun events that teach kids how to stay safe. That way, everyone can feel a little braver." Lily clapped her hands excitedly. "That's a great idea, Jamal. We could make posters and even have a safety day at school." They quickly came up with a plan. Over the next few days, they worked on their idea, gathering materials and brainstorming what they wanted to teach other kids. They designed colorful posters with safety tips, like "Always stay in groups," "Tell an adult if you feel scared," and "Trust your instincts." Finally, the day of their safety event arrived. The school auditorium was buzzing with excitement as students and teachers gathered to hear their presentation. Jamal, Lily, and Sophie stood at the front, their hearts racing but their spirits high. "Welcome, everyone," Jamal started, his voice slightly shaky but determined. "Today, we want to talk about safety and how we can all help each other." Lily stepped forward, holding up one of their posters. "We've created these tips to help everyone stay safe. Remember, if you ever feel scared or see something strange, you can always tell a teacher or call the police." Sophie spoke up, sharing her story of bravery. "When I was in trouble, my friends helped me. We can all look out for each other. Friends are important." The audience listened intently, their eyes wide. Jamal could see that many kids were nodding along, understanding the importance of what they were saying. The energy in the room shifted from fear to empowerment. After their presentation, a teacher approached them with a proud smile. "You three did an excellent job. I think we should make this an annual event. We can help kids feel safe and confident in our school." Jamal, Lily, and Sophie exchanged excited glances. "Really?" they exclaimed together. "Yes, we can start planning for next year right away," the teacher replied. As the event came to a close, Jamal felt a sense of accomplishment wash over him. They had turned their fear into something positive, and it felt amazing to know they could make a difference. After the event, they decided to celebrate with ice cream at their favorite shop. As they sat together, enjoying their treats, Sophie looked thoughtful. "I feel like we did something important today. It feels good to help others." "It really does," Lily agreed, smiling. "And if we ever see that man again, we'll be ready." Jamal nodded, feeling proud of their efforts. "We won't let fear control us. We'll face whatever comes our way together." Later that evening, as Jamal sat on his porch, he thought about how much had changed in such a short time. The fear of the man in the hoodie was still there, but it was now overshadowed by the strength of their friendship and their commitment to helping others. Just then, he noticed something unusual. A figure appeared at the edge of the street, wearing a hoodie. His heart raced as he squinted to get a better look. Was it him? Jamal's instinct kicked in. He quickly reached for his phone and was about to call Officer Martinez when he realized the figure was a girl, not a man. As she stepped closer, he recognized her as another classmate, Mia, who lived a few houses down. "Hey, Jamal. What's up?" she called, waving enthusiastically. Relief washed over him, and he let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. "Oh, hey, Mia. You scared me for a second." "Sorry about that." Mia laughed. "I was just coming to see if you wanted to play some basketball. I heard about the safety event." "Great job, by the way." "Thanks. We just wanted to make sure everyone feels safe," Jamal replied, feeling grateful for the support. As they walked toward the basketball court, Jamal realized that while there were still shadows of fear lurking, they had learned to face those shadows together. With friends by his side, he knew they could tackle anything that came their way. Jamal felt a wave of hope as they played under the setting sun, laughter filling the air. They had turned their fear into a mission, and that mission had brought them closer than ever. Together, they were stronger, and he knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, they would always have each other's backs.